UAP are airborne objects that, when encountered, cannot be immediately identified. With regard to the importance of transparency, the Department is fully committed to the principle of openness and accountability to the American people.
We're going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west. Oh my gosh, dude.
U.S. Navy personnel recorded what appears to be triangles, some flashing. The video was taken through night vision goggles with a single lens reflex camera.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty high-profile incident. I don't claim to be an expert. You're the guys investigating it. I mean, who else is doing it?
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show. Before I begin the show, this is dedicated to those who have been ridiculed, dragged through the mud, and made fun of by the media for the last 76 years. Today's show is going to be a lot interesting to a lot of people who are interested in the Black Knight, and that's where we're going to start today. So let's go ahead and start with the show. And of course, the title is the Black Knight Satellite. So what is the Black Knight Satellite? According to some experts, the Black Knight Satellite has been seen and heard for over 100 years. Nikola Tesla, an engineer, electrical engineer, mechanical engineer, heard signals way back in 1899. Some scientists claim he was hearing pulsars. In 1954, one or two satellites were being tracked, circling the Earth, traveling 400 to 600 miles above the Earth. This was 3 years before the very first satellite, Sputnik, which was launched by Russia, or I should say the USSR, in 1957. Traveling in a prograde orbit, which means west to east, the 1954 object was traveling in a retrograde orbit, which means east to west, the opposite. Here's the problem with that issue. We didn't have the technology to fly retrograde orbit at that time. So it couldn't have been Sputnik or any other satellite. So interesting that if you talk to people in NASA right now, they'll simply tell you, no, that was a misunderstanding, and there wasn't anything being tracked, but they were being tracked. Nikola Tesla, of course, I believe numbers are being used for communication because numbers are universal. A lot of scientists believe that numbers are the universal language, even with different alien planetary systems. And of course, John Fennelly, he wrote this, and it's plain and simple. If you are hearing pulsars in orbit, can you distinguish them from signals that you could possibly be getting from, say, radio antennas, microwaves, even television stations? That's such an interesting thought process if you think about so many different waves you can put out there. The Black Knight has been seen by the International Space Station. The shuttles have seen it. The Russian cosmonauts have seen them. It's nothing new. It's been estimated that it's been around for 13,000 years. Now, whether or not that's true, that's up for debate. But scientists from NASA said that this was a insulation covering from one of the blankets that were supposed to go over the International Space Station and got away. I can tell you I've seen a lot of photos of the Black Knight, and it doesn't look anything like a blanket. When it was first released, the blanket, they actually have video on it. It didn't look anything like this. As a matter of fact, there was a lot of white on that blanket. And when they show the Black Knight, it's continuously shown in black. Now, scientists will say that's because it's out in outer space, but I think that they're reaching, as NASA has done in the past. You can't believe half the things they say. Now, if that's a thermal blanket, think about this for a minute. On the next photo that you're going to be seeing, take a look at this. That's the curvature of the Earth right there, okay? If that was a blanket that went around part of the International Space Station, which was not very big, you wouldn't be able to see this object that far away. It would be a dot. So they can throw that out the door. And a lot of people haven't really paid too much attention to that. They've got photos of the Black Knight really far away, maybe 60, 70 nautical miles. You will not be able to see a thermal blanket at that distance away. Now, some of the photos you're going to see are actually photos that were taken from various agencies, but for the most part, you're going to see some artist renditions, and those are usually the close-ups. But they got those from the actual photos, and they want to enhance it. I've always said I don't like showing artist rendition because you can do anything with an artist rendition, add to or take away. But these were photographed by people who had high-resolution cameras. And interesting enough, those cameras are usually from NASA or another space agency that spend millions and actually billions of dollars on stuff that can take high-resolution pictures. A polar orbit is one in which a satellite passes above or nearly above both poles. The thing about the Black Knight, it is in a polar orbit, and the possibility of another body, such as the moon or a sun, having this particular object is very possible. But this object is passing in a polar orbit, which means it goes around the North Pole and South Pole in that way, around the equator. And a lot of it has an inclination of about 60 to 90 degrees to the equator. So interesting enough on this particular subject, NASA has always been forthright to claim that they know exactly what these craft are, and there's nothing new, nothing here to see. On September 2002, an object traveling around Earth, it was about 60 feet across, very close to the Earth. The scientists first thought it was an asteroid. Now, asteroids travel 30 miles per second. It was called J002E3. That's the name they gave it. This object circled the Earth twice, then flew around towards the Sun. It circled the Sun a couple of times and then flew back to the Earth, an Earth orbit. When scientists analyzed it using full spectrum analysis, according to the scientists, it had a paint coating signature. The object was covered with titanium oxide. NASA claims it was the third stage of the Saturn V rocket of Apollo 12. NASA claimed it somehow found its way back to Earth. Isn't that a coincidence? Talk about stories. I think that could be a story in itself. It found its way back to Earth. I don't know about you, but when NASA uses their thinking, they usually screw things up. People who study the stars, people who study moving objects in the sky, they'll find that to be a fantastic story, fiction, pure fiction. And the reason why is because what is that third stage booster flying around the sun? Now think about it for a minute. If you had a metal object and you painted it, okay, put 2 or 3 coats on it, and then you put a torch and you went right by it with a torch, what would happen to that paint? It would flake off, burn off. In some areas, it would probably catch on fire. Now, they're saying this thing went around the sun a couple of times. Okay? The sun is going to take it, and the gravity is going to pull. That booster is not heavy enough to have any kind of power to get away from the sun's gravitational pull. It would have been sucked in. So that doesn't make any sense. Now, if there's a scientist out there that can explain that to me, I'd appreciate it. Just write to me, UFO we want to know @gmail.com, and let me know the answer. Because anybody who is sensible in any way knows that the gravitational pull of the sun is so great that there are millions of particles that ram into it every second. If you think a third stage booster is going to be able to get itself away from the sun's gravitational pull, you're thinking in a whole different way of thinking as far as humans. We know that a gravitational pull means gravitational pull. It would suck it in. Going around the sun doesn't make any sense. It went around twice, came back to Earth, went around the Earth twice. And where is it today? Even NASA said it somehow found its way back to Earth orbit. Doesn't make any sense to me. Now, it's not the only booster that has ever been fired out there in space. So where are all the other boosters? That is something they have to explain to us. I can't figure it out. If you want to write into UFO We Want to Know, let me know what you think. We'll be back right after this message. Hi, I'm Joseph from UFO We Want to Know. And I'm here to tell you about the tumbler lady at the farmer's market at Tractor Supply in Pahrump every Saturday from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon. These tumblers are locally made and have specialized designer toppers. Great gifts for Christmas or any holiday, and all can be custom made upon request by emailing the tumbler lady 1@gmail.com. Also, you can purchase tumblers and mugs that I mentioned on UFO We Want to Know, aired every Saturday at 7 p.m. on KPVM TV channel 25.1. Thanks for supporting local Pahrump businesses. Thank you for staying with us. Moving on, we can start with the first photo. And for those of you who watch a lot of cable television, you'll know this gentleman. His name is Michio Kaku. And he asked the question, is anybody out there? Renowned physicist. He discussed how we could identify and categorize advanced extraterrestrial civilizations. According to Mr. Kaku, while recognizing intelligence in space is challenging, quantum computers may be able to help us sift through data for signals of intelligence, similar to how we analyze patterns in dolphin communication. Interesting enough, if you've ever watched any of his shows, this gentleman is extremely intelligent and can really give you an insight of theoretical physicists and what they talk about and how they talk about things, mechanical engineers. But one of the things that that is interesting is they talk about the types of civilizations that are out there. And I'm going to leave this on the screen for a little bit. It's going to be on the screen so you can read it and analyze it for yourself. I'll have it on for 5 minutes because I want to get through what the, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his name right. It's a Russian Kardashians. It's Kardashians. scale is a method of measuring a civilization's level of stupidity. What is the Kardashev scale? It's a scale that certifies a classification system for hypothetical extraterrestrial civilizations. Interesting enough, he only put together the three: type 1, type 2, type 3. It goes on to type 1,000, but those are not his. His method of measuring a civilization's level of technology advancement based on the amount of energy it is capable of using. The four types, there are four types of planetary systems to include our own, but we'll get into that in a few minutes. But if you look at what the type of civilizations and what they can accomplish, that gives you an idea of how far we have to go as a planet itself. Our planetary system here, the way we're going with wars, we're not going to get very far. I doubt if we'll ever head to a type 1 civilization. We have to become a planet that puts out love, understanding, compassion. We're not doing that, are we? We have 2 wars right now going on, and we're killing innocent people. I don't care what side you're on. We're killing innocent people. To get to a type 1 civilization, some estimations are that it's going to take 1 to 200 years just to get to that area. Do you think it's going to happen? I doubt it. Humanity at this time is at a type 0 civilization. And we'll go over what we have to do to get to that in a few minutes. But the type of civilization that we're at right now is a stagnant civilization type. And we're not moving forward, and we're not going to move forward, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. As you can see from these types of type 1, type 2, type 3, you're gonna understand as you read it that you go into an energy civilization that works its way up all the way to a stellar and then galactic civilization. Those are type 2 and type 3. Long ways to go before that. We'll never see that in our lifetime, and our children won't see it in their lifetime. I believe that our great-grandchildren may see something very similar to it. Some of the organizations out there have said that we are a type 0.7 civilization. Type 07 is democracies that divide power over several institutions, which are run by elected officials, voted for by some citizens. Remember, some citizens. The beginning of the market economy, type 08 liberal democracies, that give the vote to all citizens. Now, how they explain that, all citizens, a child could be a citizen, so I don't know exactly how that works. I've got to look more into that. So if we're at a 0.7, or to be specific, 4 digits, 0.7276 on the scale, which proposes a quantifying the relationship between energy consumption and the development of civilizations. It's interesting enough that you got people who are so smart, like Mr. Michikaku and other scientists who have looked into it. Their estimates are basically the human race must increase its energy consumption by 3% per year to reach a type 1 That's between 1 and 200 years. Are we going to get there? Who knows? Who knows? It's interesting that when people talk about energy consumption, they ask, well, what kind of energy consumption are we talking about? And we're talking about oil, gas, electricity, things that power units to give us electricity, give us power to our vehicles, whatever it may be. If we're going to hit that that area, ladies and gentlemen, it's up to you to talk to your representatives about renewable energies and things of that nature. You know, it takes the people, not just the elected officials, to talk about things of that nature. It takes all of us to get involved. And if that's what we're heading for, you know, as people say, God help us all. We have new data coming out that suggests that a lot of the new types of energy sources that are coming out online, they're going to be more efficient, like the solar panels you put on your roofs of your houses. If you were to look at a solar panel you got, say, 15, 20 years ago, those panels are very much outdated. Unfortunately, people don't have the money to put brand new ones on to be more efficient. But it's a real shame that when those companies that were selling panels back at that time gave you some kind of guarantee for upgrades at a decent cost. I put solar panels on my house, and only 2 months out of the year do I get a zero payment. The rest of the year, it just takes off. It's ridiculous what they're charging for electricity, especially out here in Pahrump. And don't get me wrong, Pahrump is a nice place to live. It's kind of isolated from the traffic problems they have in the big cities. But as far as the panels go, I understand these panels here have an efficiency that can be that way, stabilized over a 10 to 15, even 20-year period. At that point in time, I don't think I'll have to worry about anything. I don't even know if I'll still be here. But I don't discourage people from getting panels on their roofs. It is something that helps not only the state, the city. You're giving back energy because they do buy it back from you. And that's one of the things that's positive about panels. I've seen out here, we even have people with windmills flying around making electricity, generating electricity from those windmills. There are all types of ways for us to get to that type 1. And I believe that had we listened to Nikola Tesla back in the 1880s, 1890s, I believe that right now we would be 95% electricity based and not carbon based. Gasoline, guzzling trucks, diesel trucks. I believe that electricity would have been the key to making us a type 1 civilization within 100 years at that time. So by 1990, 1995, we would have been a civilization 1. Unfortunately, Nikola Tesla was not taken seriously. I believe that he stepped on a lot of toes back then, and I believe that's what led to his demise. I personally believe that he was murdered. Some people believe that he died of a broken heart, broke, period. He was used and abused in his time. But look what he gave us. He gave us so much. Every time you plug something into the wall, you should thank him. That man was a pure genius in his own right. And if anybody questions his ability to not be able to put things together that other normal people would say, well, that can't be done. This gentleman here, he had the ability to think outside the box. And that's why he's one of my all-time favorite scientists. I call him a scientist. He was a mechanical engineer. But I look at him as a true scientist because he thought outside the box. And, I always think about him when I think about electricity and the things that could have been. I'll be doing a story on him later on about what happened to all the trunks that he had stored and what happened to those trunks. That'd be an interesting story for you to hear if you don't already know about it. Him and Dr. Michio Kaku, I'll be doing a story about him also. We'll be back right after this message. Hi, I'm Joseph from UFO We Want to Know, and I'm here to tell you about the tumbler lady at the farmer's market at Tractor Supply in Pahrump every Saturday from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon. These tumblers are locally made and have specialized designer toppers. Great gifts for Christmas or any holiday, and all can be custom made upon request by emailing the tumblerlady1@gmail.com. Also, you can purchase tumblers and mugs that I mentioned on UFO We Want to Know, aired every Saturday at 7 p.m. on KPVM TV channel 25.1. Thanks for supporting local Pahrump businesses. Thank you for staying with us. On the next two segments, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be showing you videos. And I want you to pay close attention. We're going to be looping this first video. And it's very important for you to watch what I'm trying to convey to you. Because these are small dots, and of course we're going back to the sun. But I found something that's very, very interesting. I looped this myself, and what I did was when I was playing it, I went back and forth with the video on my computer to watch the craft. And what happened was, we're not going to show you the whole thing. We're going to show you just the points of origin. The point when the two meet. And what happens is, you have the sun in the middle, and it's going to be rotating all around the sun. And when it gets to this point here is when we're going to start videotaping. And the reason why that's so important is because I want to show you that I seen this video so many times that I can tell you that these craft are in communication with each other. And the reason why I know that is because the craft was coming down in a I would say a 20 degree. And when it was coming down, it all of a sudden dropped and then leveled off. Okay, so it was coming down like this, and then it dropped and leveled off like a J. And then right when it leveled off, another craft went right by him. That means that this craft saw this craft in the same trajectory coming towards each other. Ladies and gentlemen, that is communication by these beings. So let's play that video and let's take a look at it. You're looking at the upper left of the sun. And like I said, we're going to loop this quite a few times so you can get an eye on the objects. Now, where I'm at right now in the studio is really bright, so I'm going to talk you through it, and I'm trying to see it myself. But you can see the craft coming down, and then it starts to dip, and the other craft comes down. That has to be direct communication with the other craft. Who knows? They do their own air traffic control, I guess, but that's intelligence. When you got a trajectory, and then you change that trajectory, that means you either saw something on your, I know this is silly, but their instrument panels, if they're using their headsets that go around their heads to control the craft. They have some kind of red flag, a signal, a noise, a beep, like we have in our fighter aircraft, that there's something coming their way, like a missile. Who knows how they get their signals? We're just so we're like adolescents and compared to these intelligent beings. This was taken in slow motion, not super slow motion. Had I taken it in super slow motion, I think I would have probably cut it off. And the reason why is because when you take it in super slow motion, you get 17 seconds. This crap, by the time it went around, it was already 22 seconds in play. And if I hadn't done it in slow motion, I wouldn't have caught this part. It would have cut it off. So I'm going to have to play with my time out there doing super slow motion and just slow motion. And then when I do the slow motion, I have to cut the reel. And the reason why is because it takes too long. Sometimes I can be out there for 10 seconds in slow motion, and I'll get 1 minute, 30 seconds of time. It stretches it out. On the super slow motion, it's basically the same thing, but it really squishes it down. And I can take a video for 10 seconds, and I'll get 17 seconds. That's all that the phone will allow you to have at a super slow motion. But as you can see, this craft, as it comes down, it does change its trajectory because of what was happening above him. Now I'm facing the sun up. This was at 12:02, so it was high noon. So we're talking about straight up. And for this craft to make that kind of maneuver, we're going backwards and forwards with it, as you can see, to give you an idea of the second craft coming above the first craft that's moving from right to left on your screen. Going back and forth, it gives you a better idea. Now, lawmakers right now are on TV. I'm sure you've seen them. Mr. Burchett from Tennessee. They're fighting like heck to get more transparency from the government to open up investigations on these UFOs. Now, they were talking about the congressional hearings. They were talking about the whistleblowers. They were talking about the fighter pilots, and asking the questions, well, were they seeing things? Were they not getting enough oxygen when they were flying their jets? All kinds of excuses that people are tired of. The American taxpayer has been hearing this baloney for the last 76 years. It's time for the government to stop lying to the people. I appreciate when I see congressmen like Mr. Burchett, Ms. Luna, AOC come together, and instead of fighting in Congress over political issues, they came together as one. He even had Matt Gaetz there, and to have Matt Gaetz and AOC in the same room, that itself was unprecedented. But this is a different subject. These are UFOs. These are intelligent beings traveling on our planet right now. At any given time that you're walking wherever you may be, they're going over your heads. I can guarantee that, because every time I take my camera out, wherever I go, I get the feeling, hey, just take some videos, take some photos. I start doing it right there. I don't care what if anybody stops and says, what are you looking at? I'll be more than happy to say, there are UFOs up there. Let them join in. I don't care. The more the merrier. But I will not stop doing what I'm doing. So if you've ever seen me out there taking pictures of the sky, there's quite a few people wherever. I travel to Las Vegas quite a bit to go to the VA. And when I do go there, I take time to take pictures, especially around noon. Noon seems to be a key point in their travels near the sun. I've taken pictures at 9, 10, 11, 12, and then I stay there at 12, and then other days I'll go there and I'll start at 12 all the way to 2 o'clock. And what I've putting together is a comprehensive analysis on how many UFOs I get before noon and then after noon. And that will give you an idea of where you can see the most UFOs. It's going to take me a while to get to that point. You know, when you do an analysis, you just don't get data here, data here, data here, and put it together and say, that's it. It takes years for somebody to put a comprehensive plan together because when you come out and you give your analysis to, say, scientists, especially mainstream scientists, I should say, they're gonna find holes in everything you do. So whenever I do an analysis on these UFOs, I always make sure that I try to cover all my bases, because if they ever come to me and ask me, hey, on this such date, you said that this craft was here at 12 o'clock and there's no way in the world the sun could have been out at that point in our orbit, I have proof, because on my phone, I have all the data necessary for me to prove what I'm saying. I will never come to you knowingly on air and actually say something, because I take notes. Whenever I'm doing my videos, I'll find out the times, the dates, the location. I'll write everything down, and I've got a stack of papers that prove that point. It's so interesting that scientists, mainstream scientists, always seem to want to pick the holes that make them feel comfortable or make you look bad. And they can do all they want to do as far as what I show you on television. It's very important for you to understand that I will always be for the taxpayers, American taxpayers. When NASA says that they're going to need billions of dollars to do this, that, and then they can't disclose what they're going to use that money for, that's an issue for all of us. And I think that we should all sit down with our representatives and even have them do a town hall meeting in your particular areas to talk about transparency. The UFO phenomenon is not going to go away, not going to go away anytime soon. When the three videos came out in 2017, when they came out, the government basically opened the door. Pandora's box, who knows? They opened the door. And for those of you who believe that, oh, that's just a weather balloon, or, I believe the scientists over this guy or that guy, you have to understand something. The phenomenon that I show you every week when I do show videos, those are captured in real time for me to be able to show you. Now, these videos you're seeing today, this one here, and then on the next segment, we're going to show you two more. They were all taken 2 and 3 days ago. 2 and 3 days ago. I hope, Errol, that the government is hearing that. Because when they say that there are thousands and thousands of videos that they've gone over and they can't find anything, that is a real problem. And it should be a problem for you, because I'm not wasting my time. This is an enjoyment for me. I have a high rate of PTSD for my military service. And I tell you, this keeps me calm. I love what I'm doing, and I'm going to continue doing it, and I'm going to bring you these videos, as many as I can, and I hope that you enjoy what I show you. And if you want to write in at UFOWeWantToKnow@gmail.com, ask me your own questions. We'll be back after this message. Hi, I'm Joseph from UFO We Want to Know, and I'm here to tell you about the Tumbler Lady at the farmer's market at Tractor Supply in Pahrump every Saturday from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon. These tumblers are locally made and have specialized designer toppers. Great gifts for Christmas or any holiday, and all can be custom made upon request by emailing the Tumbler Lady 1 ufo@gmail.com. Also, you can purchase tumblers and mugs that I mentioned on UFO We Want to Know, aired every Saturday at 7 p.m. on KPVM TV channel 25.1. Thanks for supporting local Pahrump businesses. We're back. Thank you for staying with us. We got 2 videos in this last session here, and I hope that you enjoy these 2 videos. I'm going to be talking through what you're seeing on these videos like I usually do. But on this particular video, the first one of 2, I want to show you something that's very interesting. And this particular object here, I believe, came through and left into a vortex, a Terran space, whatever you want to call it. I can't explain it. Usually when I take a picture of these craft in the sun, you can follow it. And sometimes they'll kind of blink out and then come back in. But this particular craft, it was a 17-second super slow, and it appeared and then it disappeared very, very short distance. Now, I played it over and over and over again, and I used my software to lighten and darken the area where this craft was at. And what was really interesting about it is, no matter how light I made it, I could see the craft appear and then disappear. When I darkened it, it was more apparent. But the difference of the 2 are when it first came out, I did stills of it. And I want you to look at the shape of the craft when it first came out. When it went in, just before it went in, I want you to take a look at what the craft looked like then. This craft was either ship-shifting or tumbling. So let's play the video, and we're going to loop it for you. And it's in the bottom left of the sun. And you have to look very, very closely at it, because the video is not going to do it any justice because it is so far up. This was taken at 12:15 in the afternoon, and this was taken 3 days ago. Now, it doesn't move very far. And it's interesting to note that when the craft was moving, it seemed to be agitating. It wasn't moving really fast, but it seemed to be going and then stopping, going, stopping, which is it's kind of interesting because of the fact that these craft, when they're flying at supersonic speeds, they're doing maneuvers. In this case here, it moved very little and then it disappeared. Now I can see it from here, and I can see it just dropping. It's about 4 or 5 inches below the sun on your television screen to a lower left of the sun. It appears and then disappears. So how does it do that? Whenever I get these UFOs in the sun, I can see them going from point A to point B until they disappear off the screen. But they're not doing that here. Now, this right here is at the end of the video. You can see it on that loop. That's the general area of where it came in and left. And I want you to see this first shot here is of it now in the bottom. Let's look at the next photo. It's a more close-up of it to give you a better idea. I try to change the background, and sometimes when I do, I get a sharper image of it. Next photo. And this is what it looked like. So think of and I'm not trying to embarrass anybody, think of a girl with her hair down to each side. It looks like a face. But take a look at that. And that right there is the ousting of it. In other words, it was leaving our atmosphere, Terran space, who knows? Next photo, it's close-up. I did another close-up of it, got rid of some of the background. Again, you got a little face there, but in the center of it is actually the actual object. The dark area out there is the cold air around this object. Next photo. Okay, now this is where it came through in the beginning. And again, I want to show you, you're seeing just the UFO itself. This is what I see when I'm doing the video. After I analyze it, this is what I see, just a white dot. And for those of you who say, well, that could be anything. No, it's not just anything. This is traveling through our atmosphere. It's not out there in the sun. It's in our atmosphere. Next photo. It's a close-up of it. And you have to forgive my crayons here. I tried doing this myself at home, and some of the little advantages of having a smartphone is it allows you to draw on the screen and gives you an idea of what we're looking at here. Next photo, close-up of it. And you take a look at this image here. It appears to be kind of a heart or UFO-shaped craft. Now, you still see the center, you still see the outline of it. It's when you bring in a photo from magnification, you do get some distortions, but it keeps its shape. Next photo. This is the final product of it. Take a look at this. This, ladies and gentlemen, is not nothing. This is a UFO. Now, whether or not it's a probe or a UFO itself, who knows? So now what we're going to do is now if you can keep this photo in your mind, let's play the video a couple more times so you get an understanding of what we're talking about. I'm going to loop this just 2 times. Unless the director input it into the computer and it plays 3 times. It's something that we really need to study. UFOs are here. They're here every day. They're here wherever you go. You can find a UFO. If I can find them, you can find them. This is the other side of it. Looks a little different, doesn't it? Next photo. We got the little girl upside down here. Next photo. It's a larger image of it. Then we're getting down to the final analysis of it. Next photo. You got kind of like a bean shape here. Now you remember I told you remember the photo to keep an eye on, to memorize it. Here's the final analysis on this one here. Remember, this one is coming in. The other one's going out. So this object most likely was tumbling, but it has some distortion in the inner part of it. You can see the cold air around it, density in the center, heat, whatever you want to call it. Scientists still don't understand the physics here. They're thinking human physics. But I thought that was really interesting. And I got to tell you, it's one of the things that intrigues me when I see these craft and I try to do analysis on it. Let's go on to the next video. And this, I just threw this one in here just for you to see that I'm taking more and more videos. You can see this one here, it's just swinging by the left side of the sun going up. And it was tumbling. And it was leaving off a discharge like I was showing you last week, where it's leaving off some kind of corona discharge, electric mass, anti-gravity propulsion, whatever it may be. This craft was flying in our atmosphere. And it's interesting that I can take these videos, and lawmakers right now are asking for more transparency on UFOs. Like I said before in the last segment, Tim Burchett of Tennessee is leading the fight. I appreciate that gentleman because of the fact that he's not afraid to stand up in front of the cameras and say, we need more transparency from the government. And if the government is going to sit there and tell us there is nothing here to see, they better think twice, because eventually the American taxpayers are going to say enough's enough. And after they had their meeting with NASA, NASA was asking for $27 billion, by the way. They didn't get any information. They even asked to go into a skiff to get sensitive information. They were denied that. Look into those videos. You can see them on TV every day. I see them all the time. After the argument with NASA, what do you think happened? Well, I can tell you. NASA received $27.2 billion. Can I say that again? $27.2 billion taxpayers' dollars. Okay? For those of you who don't realize it, that's the 2024 budget. How much of that information we're going to get out of NASA, what they use that money for, I doubt it. I doubt if that we're going to hear anything. When you hear the government come out and say, well, there's still no proof. We're still looking. We're putting new organizations together. We're gonna replace this and replace that, and we're gonna find new ways of searching the skies. I think that's a bunch of hype. They lowered our radars to catch these small, what they call probes, or whatever they want to call them. They never call them weather balloons. These small objects. They've never called them weather balloons. They've always called them objects. I wonder why. To this day, remember back in February when they shot down the 3 small objects? We haven't heard a thing. I look it up every day. Updates on those objects, they're nothing. It goes back to February. That's a problem for everybody. Next week, we're going to be talking about Betty and Barney Hill, and we're going to be exploring their abduction. So next week, I'll see you then. Hi, I'm Joseph from UFO We Want to Know, and I'm here to tell you about the tumbler lady at the farmer's market at Tractor Supply in Pahrump every Saturday from 8:30 a.m. to 12 noon. These tumblers are locally made and have specialized designer toppers. Great gifts for Christmas or any holiday, and all can be custom made upon request by emailing the tumbler lady 1@gmail.com. Also, you can purchase tumblers and mugs that I mentioned on UFO We Want to Know, aired every Saturday at 7 p.m. on KPVM TV channel 25.1. Thanks for supporting local Pahrump businesses.